Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the P. Carroll Sport Podcast, the final podcast, maybe of the year. It's certainly the final podcast of the County Hurling Championship season. And here we are. It kind of feels almost weird. It's end of school vibes, I think, now. What are we, the 29th of October? It's late. It's 20 past 9 on the Wednesday. Very late for a podcast. It was a bank holiday weekend. I did mention that on the preview podcast that I wouldn't be around Monday, and it'll be a matter of whether I had time to watch the games back again on Tuesday. I didn't. I only got time to watch them back after work today. So fresh in my mind, and that's why the podcast is a little bit late this week. But so much to talk about. I really enjoyed that county final between Lockmore and Nina. Lockmore 222, Nina 122. We'll get to that. We'll talk about the Upper Church Strumban Carrick Swan game. We'll talk about Golden Kilfeacle and Knockavilla Doneski Kickham's. Also on this podcast, we're going to look ahead to who I think look back on the county championship and who I think, based on their form in the county championship, are worthy of a Tipperary call-up. Players I think that Liam Cal might have a look at after the county championship. And I'll also go through my senior team of the year, and I'll do a senior Dan Breen team of the year. I have that done out. It's you're not going to accept every pick. It's just I had a load of people on the brink. We'll go through all those as well. And we'll go through the Premier Intermediate and Intermediate, and I'll just go through the teams and I'll pick out some key performers. I won't have a team of the year, let's say, for that. I'll just have the team, let's say, for the senior championship. So all that's coming up on this week's podcast. I'm a little bit tired, so if I'm a bit low energy, you'll have to give me a break on that. But here is the senior championship, senior final, Lockmore Castellani 222, Nina 122. Before we get started, just a reminder to like the video and subscribe if you're new here. We've been doing these podcasts for a couple of years now, after every championship hurling weekend in Tipperary and before all the Tipperary senior matches as well. So it's kind of hard to believe that this is the last club championship one. That the next one will be the start of the National Hurling League, or whenever Tip get back playing matches, we'll be back doing podcasts. So lots to look forward to. But I am looking forward to a slower kind of a month or two as well. It's, as I said in last week's podcast, it's been fairly full on in terms of Tip going all the way in the All Ireland, covering all that straight into the county championship. I've loved it. I've enjoyed every minute of it. But a break is nice too as well. So subscribe to the podcast and the channel here on YouTube if you haven't already, and like the video as well. I will make one final reminder. This Saturday at 8 o'clock, there will be a live stream on this channel of the 1,000 shot challenge. So that's going to be me taking 1,000 shots at the goals over in Kilcoman from the 65, trying to score as many points as possible. And however many points I score is the winning number. And if you have that winning number, you can win €1,000. So this is part of my Tipperary GA Quid Games fundraiser. I'm raising money for Tip GA and my own club in Burgess. So if you want to get involved, you can buy one random number for a fiver. You can buy 5 random numbers for 20 quid. And if I score the number that you have, then you will be €1,000 richer on Saturday afternoon. The link is below. You have until Friday evening to buy the tickets, and you'll see it there on your screen there. Right beside my head is the Get Tickets button. So huge thanks. An awful lot of people have gotten involved already. Massive thanks to you all. We're nearly there. As I'm speaking to you, we have over 75% of the tickets sold. So trying to get that last few in the next couple of days. So if you are listening and you are interested, you could win €1,000. But do tune into the live stream on Saturday. A few technical things I have to sort out before that. How do you get Wi-Fi in the middle of Kilcoman? We'll figure all that out. And hopefully it's a good show. I'm trying to get a few famous faces there as well to hit a few 65s and chat to me on air as well. So should be a bit of crack. Come up to Kilcoman if you're living in the area, and it should be a good day out. But if you do want one of them random numbers, the link is below, and this is what it looks like. And you just click the Get Tickets button there, and that'll bring you to here where you can buy the tickets. So right, let's move on from that, and let's talk about the county hurling final. Lockmore Castellani have done it again. They have found a way to win another championship. 2 years unbeaten now in the Tipperary Senior Hurling Championship. Won all their games in 2024, group and knockout, and have won all their games in the group and knockout in 2025. It's some record, and listening to JJ Kennedy on Extra Time on Tip FM last night, he mentioned that it is their era now, and we will probably look back on this last kind of 5-6 years as Lockmore Castellani's era. 2020 lost the final, 2021 they came back and beat Thurles in a replay. 2022 were they beaten in a semi-final? I'm not sure. 2023 then they were beaten by Thurles. 2024 they win it. 2025 they win it. So it's just been an incredible run for Lockmore Castellani. This game itself, there's a lot of talking points in this game, and the first one was about a minute and a half into it. A long ball dropped into the edge of the square and went into the back of net. And this happened so early in the game that I almost kind of forgot about it until I'd say I was in Stapleton's in Bursalee on the way back. I'd say it was only around then when we were talking about it that this ball went into the back of net. Referee Conor Doyle gave it as a square ball, and when I was commentating, it kind of flew through my mind like, ooh, that was marginal, but play continued and it was kind of a hectic start to the game, so didn't really think back on it. But I watched the game back earlier today on TG Car, and like, if Lockmore were to lose by 2 points, they'd be looking back at that saying, why was that goal disallowed? I don't think there was anyone in the square. Now, unless it was a free for something else, but I don't think so. Definitely didn't look like a square ball, so Lockmore Castellani could have a gripe about that if it came down to that. But fortunately, it didn't. But I suppose what it could have come down to was a couple of fortuitous goals. I think all three goals had a level of fortune to them, some more than others. We'll have to talk about the first goal for Lockmore. John McGrath kind of mishits a free from outside his own 65, coming underneath the crossbar. Dermot McTiernan, young goalkeeper, hasn't really put a foot wrong in goals for Nina, has been so solid. I played in goals myself. It's just one of those things. Ball coming down, goes to catch it, comes off his hand. Most of the time those balls drop in front of you and you can just flick it away and the kind of panic is averted for a moment, but the ball drops into the back of the net. And it kind of came at a time when Lockmore were up at half time, I think 13 points to 10. Nina got it back. They scored the first 2 points of the second half, and you were thinking, right, Nina are right back in this, and then bang, sucker punch like that, a goal like that going in. I'm a member of the Goalkeepers Union. I always will be, and I'll say, maybe, you don't know, the floodlights, anything could have gotten Dermot McTiernan's eyes. Could have just been one of those things. But really, really unfortunate for him that happened. But he must have been the happiest man in Semple Stadium when, a few minutes later, Mikey Heffernan stands over a free inside his own 45 on the sideline. And as he hit it on commentary, I said, God, there's a lot of side spin on that ball. And it bounces in the square. Aidan McGrath kind of hugging the post, leans his hip in to kind of cover that angle. And somehow it just skirts in between his body and the post and into the back of the net. That leveled the game. And you're thinking, okay, it's even. Both goalkeepers have let in a fortuitous goal. And for Aidan McGrath, that one, again, goalkeeper union, I think it's Owen O'Connell who goes up to kind of bat it and just jumps and does the bat kind of motion. But I don't know, did he pull out of it or did he just realise then that it was too high for him to bat? But that probably threw Aidan McGrath a little bit. And then it ended up in the back of the net. And again, floodlights, things like that, under a high ball in dark conditions, it can make things difficult for those kind of balls landed in around the edge of the square. So that was 115 apiece. And you're kind of thinking, Nina are right back in this again, because after that Lockmore goal, Lockmore got a couple of points, and I think they went up by 6 points. Then Philip Hickey had that goal chance, 36-minute kind of breaking through, and blazed it over the bar from close range. A nice pass into him from Tommy Heffernan. Now, he was under pressure, Philip, to get it away because Aidan McGrath was rushing out and there was a defender on him. But Nina got a couple of more points, and then that goal came from Mikey Heffernan into the back of the net. But 5 minutes later, the second goal was a real killer for Nina. Lockmore, John McGrath gets onto a ball around the 45, somehow kind of turns inside, gathers the ball, takes his man on. He gets kind of in behind Mason Cawley, let's say, and he's bearing down on goals. Mason Cawley gets back. One of the defenders comes across, tackles John McGrath. He falls on the ground, and on the ground spinning gives a hand pass to Liam McGrath, and he's inside the 14 on his left hand side here. Looks like he's going to open up and smash it, and he does hit it well, but he hits it like directly at the goalkeeper, Dermot McTiernan. And when it's not your day, it's not your day. It hits off the bottom, I think, the heel of Dermot McTiernan's hurley, or else his elbow. it just hits him and skirts in over the line. Another day, that hits you an inch to the left or an inch to the right, and it drops down in front of you and you clear it out, but it just wasn't his day, and the ball goes into the back of the net. That was a killer. And then, in fairness to Nina, they stayed going. And that, as I have written down here, that goal came after Jake scored a class point to level the game, and then the ball went down the other end of the field and it was into the back of the net off the puck out. Then some things started going against Nina in the last few minutes. I have them highlighted here. Mikey Heffernan mishap on a 21-yard free. When do you ever see that happen? Just as he was rising it, it's like he didn't rise it high enough, or as he was lifting it, he didn't give it the flick in the air to pull on it, and the ball just dropped, and he to chase it, and he didn't hit it right at all. Then you had the moment where under the newsstand over on the far side of the field from where I was looking out, ball coming down on Mason Cawley, and he's going to catch it. It just drops down in front of him. John McGrath comes in, nicks the ball off him, and is fouled, and that gave Lockmore a huge boost. Josh Keller, we'll talk about him. I thought it was the best I've ever seen Josh Keller play. But he was on so much ball, he must have been knackered by the end of the game. As he came out with a ball, he tried to hand pass it off. It was just misplaced. It ends up in Ed Maher's hands. He puts it over the bar. And then there was a missed 65 from Mikey Heffernan when there was 4 points in it, kind of deep in injury time. And just some of those things went against Nina when they really needed a kind of boost of momentum. And some of those things just didn't go their way. But you have to give it up to Lockmore Castellani. They're just so good at some certain things. So good on breaks. Like, I don't know, if I was a young kind of upcoming coach, I'd be studying Lockmore Castellani's breaks and how they set up for like long deliveries and long puck outs, because danger is always lurking when a ball is landing down. It could be landing down on Massey McGrath at centre forward, but you just know that if this breaks a certain way, Lockmore always have lads busting through, and we saw it just before half time. A long ball down, I think it might have been Liam McGrath to get a little flick, and Kieran McCormick is in one-on-one with the goalkeeper now. It was only for a piece of Conor Hennessy and Barry Heffernan. I think Paddy Murphy might have been there as well. Brilliant defending from those Nina lads. I think it was Conor Hennessy that got the all-important hook that stopped a goal-scoring opportunity. But even off that, if Kieran McCormick had the view that we had in the stand, let's say, he might have seen Massey McGrath was free, as he always is, peeling off to the side. So clever. He was free if he wanted to give him the hand pass. That would have been a certain goal, but that was a brilliant piece of defending from Conor Hennessy. I just have it out in front of me now. Lockmore 11 wides on the day for Nina's 5. So looking at like another big part of Lockmore's game was their spread of scores. They had 10 different scores, as I make it. 1, 2, Ed Maher 1, Brian McGrath 2, Noel McGrath 3, Kieran Connolly 4, Ed Connolly 5, Massey McGrath 6, Kieran McCormick 7, Liam McGrath 8, John McGrath 9, and Liam Tracy 10. Like, that's 10 different scores. In fact, Nina had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So widespread of scores there, but Lockmore, they're just so acute, so smart, and I think their experience. People often say, "Oh, they're more experienced." That could be the difference. And when you reflect back on it, like late on, experience really told. Noel McGrath dropping back, just mopping up ball after ball, so clever. What else was I going to bring up there with the experience point? Oh yeah, like late on, even last puck out of the game, Aidan McGrath drives it out over the sideline so Lockmore can get set up to get ready for a line ball, and that was a well thought out thing. You had how many rucks formed in the last 5 minutes to just completely slow down the game. Like, puck outs were going long and they were going to an area where there was loads of bodies. There was lads just standing over the ball, making it impossible for Nina to kind of get out and get on the break quickly. So little things like that showed where the experience came for Lockmore Castellani, I thought. But all in all, Lockmore worthy winners, but Nina will be sickened. That game was there for them. I mentioned those little things going against them. Obviously, the 2 goals were fortuitous enough, but Nina got a fortuitous goal as well. But little things like Philip Hickey's chance, that kind of needed to hit the back of the net. A few wides laid on, or the misplaced passes and 21-yard free that I mentioned earlier as well. So it was just really, really fine margins. I thought Nina played really well on the day. had some brilliant performers. We'll go through them. Like Conor Hennessy was brilliant. Jake Donnellan Houlihan, really, really impressed with him. Like Barry Hefton, Paddy Murphy. I'm actually just naming the team now because these are players that all played well. Mason Cawley got 2 really good points. Jake Morris, 5 points from play. Josh Keller, 2 points. But Josh Keller was on everything. He was all over the place. It was an unbelievable performance. And he was one of those players that was in the tip panel this year. I think he played against Wexford and could have been taken off maybe at half time or early in that game and didn't really get another playing chance after that. But Liam Cahill kept him in there, and you could tell that Liam Cahill must see something in Josh Keller. And I think what Liam Cahill sees in Josh Keller, we all got a glimpse of on Sunday in Semple Stadium. His running ability, for a big man, he's really, really good getting the ball off the ground in rucks, and he's often the man to come out with the ball. His fitness, his honesty, just such a good runner with the ball. He picked off 2 points there. The only slight criticism you could have was 1 or 2 of his hand passes were inaccurate, but I thought that was an unbelievable performance from Josh Keller. And like, if you weren't a believer in him before Sunday, I'd say you might be converted now after that performance. So brilliant stuff from Josh Keller. Mikey Heffernan, 1-9 for him, 1-8 for him on the day, but he scored 4 or 5 points from play. And for a man who was injured, wouldn't have played much in the last month, brilliant stuff. Some of his scores were really, really good. And yeah, like Sam O'Farrell was on a lot of ball in the first half. He scored the first point of the game, but second half just didn't see as much of Sam O'Farrell as Nina people would have liked to have seen. Anytime the ball came near him, he'd done the right thing, or he made a good play, he passed it off, or done something good, but just didn't see him on the ball enough in that second half, unfortunately, and that's obviously not what Nina would have wanted. Let's look at Lockmore Castleiney. Larkin Egan in hospital last week and battles it out with Jake Morris for most of that game. Ed Maher gets himself on the score sheet. Willie Evanston as solid as ever in the full back line. Brian McGrath, just unbelievable. He's so strong, so powerful, came out with an awful lot of ball, always picks the right option. The 2 midfielders combined for 4 points. Noel McGrath with 2 points. Just he might be the GOAT of Tipperary hurling, the greatest of all time. Noel McGrath, like his 5th county senior hurling medal. In the same year, he wins his 4th All Ireland. John Lockmore have won 6 Dan Breens in their history. Noel McGrath has been on the field for 5 of them. Like, that's just unbelievable. Kieran Connolly was very, very good. Such a hard worker, a real kind of conductor or a facilitator, you might say. Gets through a lot of hard work, plays a lot of nice ball, can pick a few points as well. Ed Connolly went off early with an injury, but was busy for his part, picked off a point. Mossy McGrath, looking back on the game, Mossy McGrath was brilliant. He scored 3 points from play. He's a nightmare, I'd say, to Mark, because he's so cute and clever that he knows when to peel off. He finds himself in scoring positions a lot of the time, whether he gets the ball or he doesn't, but really, really clever player. He's had a good season for Lockmore Castleiney. Rucker McCormack got 3 points, including a scandalous 65. A scandalous sideline from outside the 65 just before half time. That was such a good score. Liam McGrath was unreal, 1-3 for him on the day, and John McGrath finishes with 1-5. Nothing from play, but how involved was he? Like, he set up the goal, won a lot of frees himself. So John McGrath is John McGrath. What did he get? 5.53 in the championship. So did I forget anything else there as I'm going through that game? Anything? I think that's pretty much it for the game. Like, I was really entertained by the match. I did predict Nina to win. Lockmore won the game. That's not a surprise to me, as I would have been saying in the preview podcast. But yeah, what did you think of the game? I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good county final, and just it was a fine margin. 1 or 2 little things went against Nina. They were right there with Lockmore, but ultimately, as they always do, Lockmore Castleiney find a way, and they win the county championship for the 2nd year in a row. And we're all going to be Lockmore Castleiney fans now in a few weeks' time when they go on to represent the county in Munster. And you'd love to see them go on a run now. They've done it all in Tipperary the last couple of years. Going on a run in Munster is kind of the next goal and the next kind of mountain for Lockmore Castleiney to climb. So it's going to be fascinating to see how they get on. You're going to have Shane O'Donnell, David Reedy, and these lads for Aero Guinness in Ennis on November 16th. So can't wait for that game. But that is it's kind of it feels weird. Like, that's it for the Senior Hurling Championship talk. We're going to get to the Team of the Year in a little bit. But yeah, well done to all in Lockmore, Castellini, and commiserations to Nina. But I will say, Nina, a lot of good young players coming there. Really good to see Billy O'Brien and Conor McCarthy on the field. Both of those lads with their injury woes in recent years, and Billy O'Brien, such a promising young player. But yeah, like it's fine margins at the top level of senior hurling in Tipperary, and Lockmore Castellini got over the line on that one. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on that until we get to the team of the year, and we'll talk about the Tipperary call-ups later on as well, because there's Tipperary call-ups from all three divisions that I'm going to mention. But let's get on to the Premier Intermediate final. This was on in Semple Stadium. Big gap between the two games, which wasn't welcome. But it is what it is. 6,000 people, 6,073 was the official attendance we were given in the press box. So yeah, that was the crowd in Semple Stadium on Sunday. Not sure how many was in for this, but it was certainly a loud crowd. On the old stand side, the Carrick Swan crowd seemed to all be there, and all the Upper Church supporters seemed to be on the new stand side of the field, and made for a really good atmosphere for this first game. But ultimately, it was Upper Church Strumban 217 to Carrick Swans 114. I must get my notes out here and just knock off the... So what I'm doing here is I stick the team sheets onto a hardback when I'm commentating, and I have the team sheets for the second game on top of the team sheets for the first game. So I just need to get that off the screen for me, off the hardback for me. Now, here we go. Back to looking at Upper Church Strumban versus Carrick Swan. The first thing that jumps off the page here is Upper Church 7 wides, Carrick Swan 5. Carrick Swan 12, a 5-point difference in the wides. Now, it was kind of a 5-point difference in the wides, but you felt Carrick Swan just hit some really poor wides and some wides that really cost them. There's a particular time in the second half where Carrick Swan hit 5 wides in a row. One of them was brought back for a free, fair enough. A lot of ill discipline. They gave away quite a lot of frees to Upper Church Strumban. And then Eric O'Halloran went for a goal when maybe it wasn't on. And a few minutes later, Upper Church get the goal to put 6-7 points between them, and that was ultimately the difference. So that kind of 5-10 minute period between the 45th, let's say, and the 51st minute might have been where the game was won and lost. But the game started off with would you call it a fortuitous goal, a long ball in by Luke Shannon to the edge of the square. His older brother Paul Shannon is there. We thought on commentary he got a flick to it. Watching it back on Clubber, not sure. It could be a Luke Shanahan goal. I didn't read any of the match reports in the papers yet, so I'm not sure who they went with, whether it was Luke or Paul Shannon, but it ended up in the back of the net. And for Carrick Swan, you're thinking, oh God, deja vu. A similar goal went in last year in the county final against Cashel, but Carrick Swan bounced back very well from that goal and got themselves back into the game. Stephen Tobin, I thought, was magic. Scored a few brilliant points in that first half, and he nearly scored an unreal goal, which we'll talk about in a second. But Luke Shanahan on the frees for Upper Church missed 2 kind of inside the 45 central position to start the game, and you're thinking, county final, you need your free taker to be on point. And then the third free he gets is out on the sideline underneath the new stand looking down towards the town end on the 45, and you're thinking, after missing your first 2, this is the last free you want. And he bangs that over the bar. I think the next free he gets is on the sideline on the 21, an even more acute angle, and he puts that over the bar, and he doesn't really put much of a foot wrong after that throughout the game. So that was a real show of kind of bravery, I suppose, from Luke Shannon, missing those frees, ones you'd be expecting to get straight in front of the goals, and then your next ones are 2 difficult ones. He puts them over the bar. So he was very good. I thought Paul Shannon was really good throughout. Such a target man, hard worker, a lot of ball breaking off him, a lot of stuff kind of goes through Paul Shannon. He was very good. Gavin Ryan, centre back, 3 points for him. Conor Fahy scored 2 scandalous points at the end of the match, one over on the old stand side of the field and one on the new stand side of the field, just near the end. Some couple of great points there. But yeah, the first half was really back and forth. It was just kind of that goal that was separating them for most of the game. I have written down here, Carrick Swan, very good when running, but maybe didn't do it enough. There's a few times we felt on commentary that Carrick Swan were going long with a lot of ball, and Upper Church just make it so difficult. There's such a good defence back there that I felt Carrick Swan had Aaron O'Halloran drop back, and he was a spare man and he was playing unbelievable. But maybe they should have just ran through the lines a little bit. They're so good at doing that. They did it in the first half where Eric O'Halloran popped it off to Aaron Dunn, I think, and he scored a point. There was another one where it was played through to Stephen Tobin, and he went off on a run and put it over the bar on his left-hand side. So yeah, Carrick-Swan showed flashes of it, but maybe just didn't do it enough. Now, it was tough conditions as well, so you have to take that into account. So half-time, it was 1-7 to 8 points to Upper Church Stromban, a 2-point lead. Very tough conditions. Second half starts, Luke Shannon, I'd say he was half worried for a second. The ball coming low to one of the Carrick-Swan players. He touches it, skids up into the air. Luke Shannon is running against him, tries to flick it, and I think it was Dean Waters. He just smacked across the head with the hurley. Sounded really bad. Huge reaction from all the Carrick-Swan people on the near side, on the old stand side from where I was. And there was a big reaction there. But I think the yellow card was probably the right decision from referee John McCormack. And in fairness, referee John McCormack and Conor Doyle, they don't get everything right. Of course, no one does. But I thought for the most part, they both had good games in both finals. So well done to all involved there. But so I think the yellow card was the right decision there for Luke Shanahan. But yeah, as the game wore on, Carrick-Swan were right there, and that's when I mentioned that period of time where they got 5 wides in a row. They gave away a few silly frees, which Luke Shannon punished them. Gavin Ryan punished them on a few longer range ones, and then the real killer was the second goal for Upper Church Stromban. Puck out taken quickly from Kieran Lonergan, bounced in front of Colin Lockman. It looked like it actually took a bad bounce and it skidded off the side of Colin Lockman's hurley, and Paddy Green was a Conor Fahey, I think it was Paddy Green, to break onto the ball. Goes through, hits a lovely shot, skids it off the ground. Kieran Lonergan pulls off an unbelievable save to keep it out. Pat Ryan is there onto the break. He doesn't panic. He pops a short hand pass to Paddy Phelan and he just rifles it into the net from close range. And that put what did that put between them? 6 points maybe? Or maybe it could have actually put maybe 7 or 8 points between them. But straight away down the other end of the field, 21-yard free. Callum Lanigan nails it into the back of the net. Such a good 21-yard free. Creeps it inside the outermost defender and the post. Just skids it in there. Or not skids it, but just squeaks it in there. And a great strike. And then Callum Lanigan gets a score straight away after. And the Carrick-Swan crowd are going nuts. And it was back to a 4-point game at that stage. And that's when Conor Fahey kind of came up. I think that's when Gavin Ryan got a free and he took it inside the 65 instead of Luke Shannon, and he actually hit it wide, and that gave Carrick-Swan another lift, and you kind of felt like this is going to be a grandstand finish. But then that's when Conor Fahey popped up with those 2 scandalous points, and Paddy Green got a point or 2 to finish it off. Toby Corbett got a brilliant point in that second half, and one point I did want to mention is that Callum Lanigan one over on the sideline in the second half, where he's over on the newsstand side on the 45, just gets a short hand pass on his back foot and just strokes it over the bar. It was an unbelievable score. What a player Callum Lanigan is. 1-7 on the day for him. What did he get? 154 in the championship. Stephen Tobin, the goal he nearly got before half time. Oh, it was just some pace. He just took his man on the outside, got around him. Such a classy striker, and it just blazes over the crossbar. But he was really, really good. And I love seeing young players like that kind of put on a show in Semple Stadium. Now, the worry was near the end of the game, Stephen Tobin, and kind of a ball breaks in behind him, and he kind of jumps up and lands down, and a guy, I think it might have been Mikey Lavery coming in, flicking the ball away, kind of falls into Stephen Tobin's leg, and he goes down and he's banging the ground, which is never good to see. So I believe he was getting MRIs during the week, so we all have our fingers crossed for Stephen Tobin. Such an important player for Carrick-Swan, and you feel like he's going to be an important player for Tipperary and the Tipperary under-20s and next year. So well wishes to Stephen Tobin. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but what did he get? 2-13 in the championship for an 18-year-old. Really, really positive signs for his development in the blue and gold and the black of Carrick-Swan as well. But all in all, if you look at the Upper Church forward line, I think they all scored. Yeah, Luke Shannon got 7 points, and then if you want to count Paul Shannon with the goal, he got a goal. Paddy Phelan was quiet compared to how good he was in the semi-final, but big players make big plays on the big days, and Paddy Phelan is a big player for this Upper Church team. Still only 20 years of age. He scored that goal, and his 6 points from playing the semi-final is the reason why Upper Church were there in the final, and he gets the goal that is ultimately the big score of the game in the final. Conor Fahey, we mentioned his 2 points, Pat Ryan with 2 points, Paddy Green with 2. I always mention how nice of a ball striker Paddy Green is and how good he is to watch. Gavin Ryan got 3 points. Some of his long range frees are just scandalous, and even his technique with the long range frees is unique enough as well, where he pretty much holds the hurley in the striking position, so with his 2 hands together at the top as he's rising the ball. Not a lot of people do that, but that's just everyone, each to their own, and it clearly works for Gavin Ryan. And when you reflect back on this campaign, like Gavin Ryan's goal against Ballina, if that doesn't happen, Upper Church are out of the championship in the group stages. Instead, it's a long range free that drops into the back of the net, last puck of the game against Ballina. Upper Church win by points. They top their group, and now they're a senior team in 2026. It's just, the fine margins are unbelievable in this championship. But Upper Church will feel they're back where they belong, up at senior. Really, really stout defence. Keith Ryan, Gavin Ryan, Dean Carew. I've been impressed by Niall Grant anytime I've seen him. Aaron Ryan, very, very good in the middle of the field for Upper Church Strumban. Diarmuid Grant as well. They got through an awful lot of work. Likewise for Carrick Swan, Dean Waters got through a mountain of work as well. Taylor Fleming picked off a nice score. I just felt Carrick Swan, a lot of the ball going in, like anytime the ball was near Aaron Dunn, he was fighting tooth and nail for it. Like, it was never kind of easy, and that might be just an Upper Church Strumban defensive thing rather than any sort of malfunction from a Carrick Swan point of view. But very, very just tight, tough game like I expected it to be. I did go with Carrick Swan to win this one, but ultimately it was Upper Church Strumban who got the win. So not going well on the predictions. I did predict Golden Kilfeacle to win, and they did. So we went 1 from 3 for the finals weekend, but these games are so difficult to predict. And I would just send one last feeler out there to don't take the predictions too seriously. I'm getting comments on like TikTok and stuff like that from people from many different clubs, and I have to, if I'm giving a prediction, I have to say a team. And most times I'm saying I don't know who's going to win this game. I think it's going to be really close, but I'll just lean this way. And so don't take that as me saying, oh, he thinks we're useless, he always backs against us. It's just how I see it. And what are we, 60% of the time I'm right, and 40% of the time I'm wrong. So that's the going rate this year. So fair play to Upper Church Strumban. Ballinhassig of Cork is who they're going to be playing in the Munster intermediate semi-final in a couple of weeks' time, November 16th as well. And of course their focus now goes to the football semi-final on Saturday. So a big fair play to Upper Church Strumban. They go through, and difficult one for Carrick Swan, back-to-back defeats in finals, but really nice kind of young players coming through. Stephen Tobin, Aaron O'Halloran, who thought was brilliant on the day, and of course Callum Lanigan, Callum Walsh, a lot of young lads they can build on there in Carrick. So there'll be no fear of them next year, but they'll be hoping that they can get over the hump and get through that final and get back up senior next year. So fair play to Upper Church Strumban. Let's go on to the intermediate final now, as we give another reminder to like the video if you've reached this far, and good reviews on Spotify and all that are always much appreciated as well. So let's look back now on the intermediate final. Golden Kilfeacle 319, Knockavilla Doneski Kickham's 221. A 1 point win for Golden Kilfeacle. Watch this game back on Clubber. I've actually watched it back twice. The first time I watched it back, I had it on the telly, and I thought, I think whatever way the lighting was and the sun was shining on the camera, I actually thought it was actually kind of hard to watch it from a distance. So I watched it back on the computer today, and it's easier to watch it back when it's kind of closer to you, obviously. But I don't know what it was, just with the way the sun was shining in Cashel on the camera. When it kind of panned down to the far end in Cashel, I thought it was a little bit hard to see at times. But yeah, this game, a lot of rucks, a lot of tackling in the first 20 minutes. Nothing was going off too easy. Adam Daly scored a couple of class points in the first 15 minutes. They were kind of the eye-catching pieces. Another kind of eye-catching piece was a long ball centre forward position. Josh Keane knocks it down to himself, an unbelievable touch, gets it off to Jack Leamy, and Jack Leamy puts it over the bar. Knockvilla had the breeze in the first half. The likes of Stephen Brown, Owen Horgan, I think, got a brilliant score in that first half. There was a brilliant sideline, I think was it Shane Buckley who put that over the bar. Like, everything was flying over the bar for Knockvilla early on, and they were in the lead. But It was a Sam Hall goal on the 26th minute. That gave Golden the lead. It was a line ball in from Jack Leamy, kind of edge of the square. Sam Hall gathers it, rifles it into the net from close range. So Golden led by a point, 110 to 12 points at half time. Second half started, Elliot Thompson got a goal on the 39th minute. David Butler, nice bit of work out on the sideline, wins the ball, plays it infield to Shane Buckley. He's running through, hand passes it off to Elliot Thompson. He finishes from close range. That gave Knockavilla a 114 to 112 lead. But then the big kind of moment came in the 45th minute. Josh Keane wins a ball, plays it into Jack Leamy, and he just turns on the burners. Powerful runner with the ball, in behind his man, bearing down on goals. In fairness to his man, I can't remember who it was who got a hook, but got a hook or put him off the strike. So Jack Leamy didn't get the strike away, but the ball dropped below him and he pulled on it on the ground into the back of the net. Huge goal for Golden. And then a few minutes later, another goal for Golden. This time it was Andy Burns. Josh Keane involved again. He breaks through, gets the hand pass off, and Andy Burns finishes it from close range. Éanna Ormond involved everywhere is a bullet point I've written down. And that kind of says it all. That man was everywhere in this game. Ben Curvin picked off some nice scores. Stephen Brown did as well. They were kind of trading scores, but Ben Curvin was very classy throughout the game, got a couple of nice ones. But Kickham's weren't going away, and they were there the whole game. Golden couldn't shake them off. Every ball was being battled hard for, no matter the goals that went in. Knockavilla stayed at it, kept picking off the points. Stephen Brown a few points from frees, couple from play. And then the moment came, they were 4 points down. Just as we were about 30 seconds into injury time at the far end in Cashel, a scrappy ball down around the edge of the square. They'd sent in a few of them. Jack Curvin and the defence had dealt with it for Golden, but this time ball dropped around the edge on the line basically. Few people trying to kick it, poke it, flick it away any way they could. It ends up in the back of the net, a real scrappy goal. That made it a 2-point game. Sorry, there's 5 points in it. That made it a 2-point game. Stephen Brown gets a free to make it a 1-point game, and then kind of, all hell breaks loose for that last ball. Everyone has thrown themselves in to try and win it. In the middle of the field, it breaks up towards the Golden defensive side of the field, the centre forward position for Knockavilla. It's kind of broken out towards Adam Daly, the right man on the ball. He gets it, probably has a little bit more time than he thought, but not much. He had to take a snapshot. He takes a snapshot at it. It just drifts to the right and wide. He was under so much pressure. He didn't have room to kind of get a full swing. He just had to throw it up and snatch at it and just hope it went over. It goes to the right and wide, and that is the full-time whistle. Golden Kilfeacle are the county intermediate hurling champions, 319 to 221, a 1-point win for a finish, and a brilliant game. We kind of said on the preview podcast that I expect this to be a high-scoring game, that Golden Kilfeacle would just about win, and they did win. And it was a high-scoring game, so I'll give myself that. I get a lot wrong, but I get bits right too. So, the difference there was probably Jack Leamy, Ben Curvin, Josh Keane, big players. Shawnee O'Halloran, I've mentioned him a lot on the podcast. Really good in the middle of the field. Niall Heffernan solid at the back for Golden. But really impressed with Knockavilla once again. Elliot Thompson was very effective. A couple of the cars there. Stephen Brown knocking over scores. Shane Buckley with the sideline set up a goal as well, and Adam Daly, I think he finished off with 3 points, but 2 of them were worldies, like really good scores, one from either sideline on either side. So really competitive game, but you'd feel Golden was the team we had said at the start of the intermediate championship were the favourites for it, and that's a hard championship to win when you're favourites the whole way through. But Golden Kilfeacle done it. Knockavilla can build on this. We mentioned how good it is for the Knockavilla club that despite all the lads they've lost in recent years, here they are still competing at the top of the intermediate championship. So no doubt they'll be back next year looking to get over the hump and get into the Premier Intermediate. For Golden, I'd have no fear of them really in the Premier Intermediate. A nice young team growing and coming at the right time. Also, side note, really like the Golden jersey, the green jersey and the green shorts, but also their white jersey that they wore in the under-19 football final the other day. Big fan of the Golden jersey. So there'll be no fear of them up Seamus O'Reen whatsoever next year. Let's see how the predictions went overall. So we were 1 from 3 for the week. So as we said, not hectic there, 1 from 3. That's going to bring down our ratio. So for the championship across the 3 grades, there was 108 games. and I predicted 63 of them correctly. So 63 from 108. I'll try and get a percentage on that now while we're here. Let's see. Google that. What a 63 divided by 108 by 100. Is that what we're looking at here? 58.3%. So we're just under the 60% mark. So 58% of my predictions were right this year. We'll take it. It's not hectic. It's not bad. But yeah, that is the last game we'll be reviewing for the 2025 Club Championship season, which is, it's mad. It's kind of flown by in a way, but then when you reflect back, the All-Ireland final does feel like a long time ago at this point. But let's go back to the, what we're going to do next is the Team of the Year. So the Senior Team of the Year. Then we'll go through the teams in the Premier Intermediate and Intermediate, and I'll just pick off some players I thought performed well. But let's go to the Senior Team of the Year. Right, let me pull up this graphic. This should work. Right, there we go. So what you're looking at now is a blank screen that I'll slowly reveal the players. I'll go through the team. I'll talk about the players I have selected. Then I'll talk about the players I've left off or had to leave off because you can only pick 15. And this was impossible to do. No one is ever going to have the same one. But if you're going to be saying in the comments, oh, how is this fella not in it? You can say that all you want, and I encourage it. Let me know your teams. But you have to say he should be in instead of, okay? So that's the one rule I'll give. If you're going to be giving out saying, oh, how's this lad not in it? You have to tell me who he should be in instead of as well, okay? So that's just a little thing that, you know, around All-Stars time of the year as well, people are like, how this lad not get an All-Star? It's like, well, who do you think shouldn't have got one? So that's just a little thing to go through. So the first position is goalkeeper. I actually found this one kind of hard to predict. There was a lot of good goalkeeping performances thrown in with some bad moments in games for nearly all the goalkeepers, really. But the one I went with for the Team of the Year this year is Ewan Burke, Holy Cross. Thought his puckouts were very good. The one mistake you could say was in the game against Lockmore, that line ball that ended up in the back of the net. But a lot of things go on in around the square at that point. So who called it, who went up for it, all that sort of thing. But it ultimately ended up in the back of the net. But all in all, I thought he was probably marginally the better. There was a lot of good performers. We'll go through them in a bit. But we've gone with Ewan Burke from Holy Cross Ballycal. The full back line then, I've gone with Conor Hennessy of Nina Rogue, Cathal Barrett of Holy Cross Ballycal, and Fintan Purcell of Drummond Conor Hennessy speaks for himself. He held Shamie Callan and John McGrath scoreless from play in a semi-final and a final. Semi-final and a final. Cathal Barrett was brilliant this year for Holy Cross. Held John McGrath scoreless in the semi-final as well from play, but just everywhere. And Fintan Purcell, I just thought he was really, really good from any time I saw him. I don't know, he's one of those players that just catches the eye for me. He's aggressive, tight to his man. He's a real good hurler as well. And I love seeing his matchups. He matches up with most of the time the other team's best kind of forward, and it's just an entertaining player to watch. And there's a few other options I could have gone with, but this is who I've gone with. The half back line then, probably my player of the year is Brian McGrath. I thought he was immense for Lockmore Castellani this year. So strong, so smart, so solid, picking off some scores as well. And with Ronan Maher got surgery there last week, maybe they won't rush him back in league. I think Brian McGrath will get a run in the tip team in that half back line. And whatever he can do with that, we'll see come the league. But I think Brian McGrath was just unbelievable all year. So he's my centre back. Barry Heffernan likewise was just class for Nina. And Owen Connolly, his brother Ronan could have easily been there as well, but I've gone with Owen Connolly. I just thought he was brilliant for Cashel throughout the year. Their first year up, senior, you needed those kind of leaders, and Owen Connolly was certainly one of those. Barry Heffernan, so clever, mopped up everything against Drummond and in that semi-final, but was brilliant for Nina throughout the year. Midfields, I've gone with Noel McGrath and Joe Caesar. Noel McGrath, do I need to say anything? Like, the guy is just unbelievable. Joe Caesar, I was really impressed with him. I mentioned his running ability. He scored a good few goals, breaking through the middle, breaking the lines. Good hurler, good athlete. composed near the goals as he's breaking through. He gave off a couple of good passes and things like that. So I was very impressed with Joe Caesar from the very start of the championship against Tumivara all the way through. Didn't have the best game against Lockmore. He was given the task of trying to mark Noel McGrath and probably just sacrificed his own game a little bit in that semi-final, so we didn't see the best of him. But all in all, I was impressed with Joe Caesar. The half-forward line now is Jake Morris, Seamus Callan and Mossy McGrath. Jake, what can you say? What did he score in the championship? I'll have those stats up in front of me as well, but I'll have the Jake Morris one here. It doesn't really matter what he scored. He showed up when he was needed. 219 from play is what Jake Morris got in the championship, but straight from the start, wasn't 100% fit throughout the championship, but anytime Nina needed him, he was the one who was stepping up. You think that game against Thurles, it started getting a little bit close late on, and Jake Morris was there to get things going or to make big plays late on for Nina against Thurles Sarsfields that day, and all the way to the county final where he scored 5 points. The ball he played to Ben West in the semi-final, even the ball he played to Philip Hickey just before half-time in the final. Just brilliant stuff from Jake, considering how injured he was as well. Seamus Callan, who can forget that performance against Mike Harkey-Burris in that semi-final? The goal he got sitting on his arse, flinging one hand on the hurley at the ball into the top corner. That's probably the goal of the season, I'd imagine, in Tipperary club hurling. That was unbelievable. The point he got where he got blocked down on his own 45, won the ball back, went on a solo run all the way up to the edge of the 45 and put it over the bar. And it's not just his performance against Mike Harkey-Burris. I know he didn't have the best game in the semi-final, but he kind of brought Drum back into that game against Lockmore in the very first round as well. So I've gone with Seamus Callan. This wing forward spot, a lot of people could have got this, but after watching back the final, there could be some final bias here and recency bias here, but Mossy McGrath was just brilliant. I think he scored maybe 2-8 or around that in the championship. But he's just so clever and smart and just such a nuisance for defence to try and deal with, because you're thinking you have to watch out for John McGrath and Lee McGrath and the Conleys and how quick they are, but Mossy McGrath just pops up in these positions. So I've gone with Mossy McGrath there in the team of the year. And the full forward line, I've gone with Mikey Heffernan, John McGrath and Cormac Fitzpatrick. So Mikey Heffernan, rolling back the years, I thought he was sensational for Nina all year. Even in the final, those 4 points from play. What did he finish with? 1-8. I know he missed that 21 and the 65, but all in all, Mikey Heffernan was just brilliant all year. John McGrath, 553 in the championship. Held scoreless from play in the semi-final and final, but just because he was scoreless from play doesn't mean he wasn't effective in those games. He set up the goal in the final. How many times did he win frees and things like that in the semi-final as well? Just such a smart player. Like that free he won on Mason Cawley, I'll mention that again. Different moments like that. John McGrath, of course, is my full forward. And Cormac Fitzpatrick was just eye-catching for Drummond Inch all year. I must pull up my scores sheet there. You won't be able to see this now as I bring this up, but championship scores this year, I've been keeping track of who's been scoring what for each team as I was commentating on all the games. So if I pull up Nina and Drum in that semi-final, going into that game, Cormac Fitz had scored 217 from play. So 3 points against Lockmore, 1-4 against Lura, 3 points against Brackens, 4 points against Clonalty, 1-3 against Mike Harkey. He's still under 20 with Tipperary next year. He's on the third CBS team this year. So that's who I've gone with for my team of the year. And there is a whole lot of people that could have met it, but that is who I've gone with as I'm moving around the wrong screen here now. There we go. So yeah, that's my team of the year. Ewan Burke in goals, full back line of Conor Hennessy, Cathal Barrett and Fintan Purcell, Barry Heffernan, Brian McGrath and Owen Connolly in the half back line, Noel McGrath and Joe Caesar in midfield, Jake Morris, Seamus Callan and Mossy McGrath, Mikey Heffernan, John McGrath and Cormac Fitz. That's who I have, and that's just my scoring sheet that I have there. Let's go down through the people who didn't make it, but very much could have, and there's a lot of them as well. I'm not sure if you can see that pixel thing on the screen, so I'm just going to do that just in case. But yeah, let's go to who could have made it. I have a possible inclusions thing here. Right, so this is a long list. and it stops there. So right, let's go through these. Sam O'Farrell, like unbelievable against Thurles in that first day, 5 points from play. Took over the freeze in the semi-finals, scored a few brilliant scores. Like, he was very unlucky not to be there. He could have easily been in that kind of Massey McGrath position. Mason Cawley, thought he was brilliant throughout the year. Athletic, powerful, good man marker, well able to go up and down the field, well able to pick off a few scores. Josh Keller, that performance in the final alone would get him there, but we mentioned his ball, just his work rate and his ability to run with the ball, as we mentioned every time I mention Josh Keller. So he was a possible inclusion. Robbie Ryan of Holy Cross, for a young lad, stepped up when Holy Cross needed him throughout the year. Very good season for him. The two Conleys for Lockmore, Kieran and Ed. Ed scored 2-8, I think, from in the last group game and the quarter final, I think. John went off injured in the semi-final and final, so that hampered him a little bit, but he was very, very good, and two players that I'm sure Liam Cowell might have a look at. Willie Evanston and Lorcan Egan in the backs for Lockmore Castellini. Easily could have been involved. Lorcan Egan was on my team last year. Willie Evanston is just so solid there for Lockmore year in, year out. I have Massey McGrath here because I was working off this list as saying who should I put in, who could I drop out, and Massey McGrath was there, but he made it onto the team for a finish. I mentioned Ronan Connolly. How good was he for Cashel this year? Again, another player I'm sure Liam Cowell might have a look at. Ross Bonner for Cashel, captain of the team. He was popping up with 3 or 4 points and getting through an awful lot of work every week, every game for Cashel this year. You can see Fintan Purcell is there. He obviously made the team. Connor Stakelum, the performance he put in against Cashel in that last group game was something I just wanted to make a note of. He was absolutely brilliant, particularly in that game against Cashel for Thurles Sarsfields. He was doing it all that day. Podge Campion and Lorcan Campion for Drummond Inch. Both of those lads had 2 brilliant seasons. Lorcan Campion scored an awful lot this year, and Podge Campion so solid at the back in that centre back kind of wing back position for Drummond Inch. Powerful going forward, lots of speed, loads of hurling in him as well. He had a great year. We've 3 Killer 1 lads here: Aaron Morgan, Niall O'Mara, Craig Morgan. Aaron Morgan, man marking lads. Brilliant season for him. Straight from the start up in Dala against Bursalee. He had a brilliant game that day and continued his form throughout the championship. Niall O'Mara likewise, and Craig Morgan as well. A couple of Clonalty lads, Jason O'Dwyer in the goals. He made some couple of great saves throughout the championship for Clonalty, and Stephen Ferncombe was just a marksman throughout the year for Clonalty Rossmore. Jack Hayes of Mike Carkey Burris was so solid, another young player with a lot of promise. He was very good for Mike Carkey Burris. Dara Woods for Holy Cross. A lot of the games he was picking off unbelievable scores. You think of that quarter final against Cashel, some of the points he got that day as well, so he was probably unlucky not to make the team. And Darren McCarthy as well. I think when you see what he scored, I think he was the second highest scorer in the championship, and just kept up his brilliant form for Tumivara that he had for Tipperary. So there was some lads really close that if I was to make the graphic again, they could be in it. So that's who I have anyway for my team of the year. Let's pull it up again so you can see it one last time. There it is. And yeah, some lads, you just can't include everyone, so it's very difficult. So let's get to the final part now. After all the club championship, what's Liam Cahill and the lads looking at now for 2026? Who do I think could be worthy of a Tipperary call-up? There's a lot of players here. Some of these players, may already be on the county teams or county radar or been in with the panel already. So some of these mightn't make much sense, or well, not make much sense, but some of them are already in there. So these are the tip call-ups that I have lined out. So no particular order, but I do have Sean Ryan at the top for Templederry. I think he just has to be in there with Tip. He's so good, so dangerous in around the goals, can win his own ball, can fight for it well. I really think we're going to see him in a Tipperary jersey next year. A couple of golden lads, Jack Leamy, what a season he's had. He'll surely get a chance. Ben Curvin as well has been progressing well since he was the under-20 captain. A couple of Nina lads, Conor Hennessy showed his man-marking potential throughout the year. Mason Cawley has that kind of prototype. He's an athlete. if you got him in there with the Tipp team panel for a year or two training, the sky's the limit. He has that potential, and you'd like to see him get a chance in with the Tipp team, because, as I said, you're looking for lads who can hurl, obviously, and Mason Cawley can hurl as well, but when you're like a supreme athlete, that kind of Mason Cawley is, that's something you can work on, and that you can work with and develop into a top player. So I'd say he will get a good chance. A couple of Connollys here, Kieran and Ed from Lockmore, and Ronan Connolly, all had brilliant seasons. I mentioned Jack Hayes from Icarkey Burris. Joe Egan is another one I've always spoke about, him being similar to Mason Cawley in that kind of prototype body shape and athleticism, and lots of hurling too, that you can work with that fella and get him a couple of year or two experience in with Tipp, and the sky could be the limit. Adam Daly with Knockavilla, 7 points in that semi-final, 3 points from playing the final. We've seen him do it with Tipp underage, from minor all the way up to under 20. He'll surely get a chance. Aaron Morgan, really impressed with him. You'd like to see him get a chance. Derek Kelly of Aero Gannacarthy, remember that game up in Rare Cross, or up in Kilcommon, against Templederry himself and Sean Ryan were going back and forth that day. That's nearly one of them games you could watch back over the winter. That was a brilliant game. And then some younger players I have here. Cathal O'Reilly from Holy Cross, Cormac Fitzpatrick of Drummond Inch, Robbie Ryan of Holy Cross, Jamie Ormond of JK Brackens, Paddy Phelan of Upper Church, Stephen Tobin of Carrick Swan, Owen Duhan and Shay Gleeson of Moneygall, and Jake Donnellan Houlihan of Nina. All these players, I think for the most part, are underage next year. I think Paddy Phelan might be over. He's not under 20 next year, let's say. So, but these are all younger players that I think can be worked on in a Tipperary panel and developed up into Tipperary players. So I'm sure I've left someone out as I was putting this together over the last 2 days. I put it together yesterday, let's say, and today I'd think of another name. So tomorrow I'll probably think of another name as well. So, but let me know, what did you see throughout the county? Who do you think Liam Cowell might be having a look at this year? And he'll probably have a look at a lot of lads, and a lot of lads worthy of having a look at as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. What are we? We're almost an hour, 57 minutes. Our last podcast for maybe the new year. I'm not too sure what my plan is going to be. I'm definitely going to look forward to a couple of weeks off, especially after Saturday with this 1,000 shot challenge. It's going to be a busy couple of days for me leading up to that, and we'll look forward to that on Saturday. The links are below. You've seen it on screen there, the QR code, if you want to get involved there with the 1,000 shot challenge. Still a couple of tickets left. You can see the going fast thing. That's good to see on the Eventbrite website. So yeah, there is still some tickets left if you do want to get involved. It would be a big help. So yeah, this is goodbye, I suppose, for a while on the podcast. We will be back for the inter-county season. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. I've certainly enjoyed sitting here in my room talking to myself about hurling for an hour every week. But that is me being serious. I have enjoyed it. And the podcast has done really, really well this year. So in terms of its growth and viewership, and people just telling me they listen to it and things like that. So that's all much appreciated. So yeah, we're going to sign off. Comments below about what you agree with, what you disagree with, who should be in with Tipp, who should be in the team of the year, what you thought of the county final, everything like that below. And a final reminder, Saturday 8 a.m. is when that live stream will start here on the channel, and you can see me smack a few balls wide from the 65 for a couple of hours. So that is it for this Club Championship 2025 is in the books. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed the coverage here on the podcast, and I hope you will join me in 2026. So if we're not talking on the podcast until then, have a good Christmas, and Tipperary have a Lee McCarthy Cup to defend and go after another All-Ireland title in 2026. So what a year it's been in 2025. But we're back bottom of the mountain again in 2026, and we get to do it all over again, both in the inter-county season and the club championship as well. So many thanks for tuning in. Subscribe if you haven't already, like the video, and the 1,000 shot challenge, link below. You could be €1,000 richer on Saturday afternoon. Thanks a million, and we'll talk to you on the next one. Good luck.